Oh, what a day it is. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Robbie Basel Show. Today is a very special day for me. Uh, it's a very special day in general. I know this video is coming out on Wednesday, but I'll explain all the details about the upcoming video schedule in a minute. I want to start this by saying thank you to the viewers. Today is the 100th episode of the Robbie Basel Show. I did not expect this to get this far. It's been a very interesting journey so far. I've done this show in multiple different states in multiple different setups, from my home in New York to my both dorm rooms. Briefly one and full 2 semesters in my latest one. We've done it in Georgia. We've done it in other places. It's been really cool for me to keep following sports and just be able to talk about so many different sports with you, to educate the viewer sometimes, like what we're about to kind of do today, for how weird some of the topics we talk about today are. But it's been awesome for me to talk about these different topics, get people to say, hey, this stuff is kind of interesting. Maybe I want to follow it more. Maybe I want to get into this sport more. Uh, it's been really cool for me. The views, I don't really focus on that. I never really have from the start. We've had videos be really successful. We had that one video go like 130 views, which is actually more views than any Into the Stance episode got this year, which is shocking. But it's been a lot of fun for me as the host of this thing to collab with a couple of people. You'll see a collab in a very up, and I hope the next episode, to break down the Stanley Cup Finals with me. I have a good friend of mine from Iona, likely coming on the podcast. So stay tuned for the next episode, which will be out on Saturday. It won't be on Friday. It will come out at noon, likely noon on Saturday. So stay tuned for that, because today's episode, I know it was a day late. I was very busy yesterday, so I could not get this video out because I did not expect the plans to change yesterday. So here we are, 100th episode. And I feel like it's very fitting for me to kind of do this the way I started this thing, which is a full soccer video. I feel like it's very fitting. Later in this video, we'll be talking about World Cup qualifying for Concacaf, which I don't think many people knew was going on this starting today, actually. There's a couple matches today. We have Asia, we have Africa. I can talk about all of the nonsense. And additionally, we have some transfers that's actually what we're starting with today, and the Champions League final. That is where we will start this, but in a moment, we'll start that in a moment. Let me explain the upcoming video schedule. So we have today's video, Saturday. The next video will come out on Tuesday, and it will be the preview for the Copa America and the Euros. Will be out on Tuesday. Full predictions, and I don't even know how long the video is going to be, honestly. But I'll predict the whole group stage. I'll try to have like a bracket or something so we can explain I'll explain how the bracket would go and who I think will win the Euros and the Copa America in 2024. It is going to be a blast. Unfortunately, I don't have a guest for this one, which I was really hoping for, but unfortunately, no bites there. So it'll be me, myself, and I, just like how he always is. But let's begin. The Champions League final. Let's start here. The Champions League final, in all of its glory, went down on Saturday. And, oh, what a day it was. I didn't even get to watch most of the game. I actually had to watch the entire game back, which I pretty much did. And Real Madrid are your Champions League winners. Their path was not the most difficult. They didn't have the hardest group in the world. But they're running the knockouts. Other than the round of 16 contest, they had a very difficult path, a path that prepared them to play a side like Borussia Dortmund. Now, Dortmund, they're a solid bunch. Unfortunately, they did lose Marco Reus at the end of this. He will be leaving to possibly the LA Galaxy, which is actually kind of cool. But we saw two legends at the end. One retired, that was Tony Cruz. He retired from club play after the Champions League final. We knew about that like a week or so before. And then he'll be playing, I believe might be playing in the Euros. I'll have to relook at that one. But it'll be very fun to see him play once again on the international stage and retire, hopefully as the champions of Europe, not only in club but for a country as well. But Real Madrid, we knew they were winning this Champions League final. You know, the forming of the possible Galacticos, the rumors that Real Madrid had, the attraction they will now have, and the attraction that they've already gotten is so high. It's ridiculous. But back to the match. It was a special run for Real Madrid. They had some surprising stars. You talk about Joselu, who played at their number 9. Of course, you got to talk about Jude Bellingham, Rodrigo, Vinicius. There are so many players over the course of their run that you can mention. I'm just pulling this up real quick. That was the reason, or reasons, for why this team was great. There's multiple reasons for this. But this team, this special group, a match that started with Carvajal off a corner scoring and then Vinicius Jr. scoring the second, ending the match, they deserved to win the final. They were the better team in the final. But Florentino Perez and Carlo Ancelotti are interesting people. And Florentino Perez was like, you know what? Let's form a new Galacticos. A new super team. It's like forming the Avengers. Well, what did he do? There's a certain Frenchman on the market. A French star that is a true game changer. Arguably the best player currently in the world. Available on an end of contract. And, well, we knew this is coming for multiple months. But it's official. Kylian Mbappe is now on Real Madrid. A former age of the Champions League is gone. Gone is the age of the Champions League group stage, and you actually getting lucky to not have to play competitive teams, to now a league stage that will be very possibly corrupted, who knows. And Real Madrid getting one of the biggest stars to dominate that league stage in Kylian Mbappe. That attack is going to be so good. They have the star of the present. They've had this a star of the past. Stars of... I think I've even said that wrong. They have stars of the future. They've had stars of the past. But they have stars of the current as well. They have Mbappe and Vinicius. And of course they have their star of the future in the Brazilian from Palmeiras, in Endrick. I talked about him in the first video. If you remember, he was the end of the first video, a topic I talked about very poorly. I described it very poorly. But Endrick played his final game for Palmeiras. He will be playing for Real Madrid come August. That team is loaded. The development they can have, and how many great runs this team could have in the future, in any of the competitions they could play in, is seismic. This team is incredible, and they haven't even played a match with their new signings yet. But they signed Mbappe, and we knew how good he was. PSG fumbled the bag. We knew this already. They were saying, oh, he's going to stay. Oh, he's going to stay. We're going to throw all the money in the world. Hell, they could have given him probably French territories like Martinique or Guadeloupe or something, and he wouldn't have stayed. And he said in the press conference he felt some relief getting out of France, which, fair. Honestly, fair. But now, Mbappe, they signed Endrick. They have the greatest attack possibly, the best attack in the world. What else did they need? Oh yeah, they're getting old at fullback. What's the best fullback available? Hold on, I'm getting this call from Canada real quick. I'm getting a text message, actually, not a phone call. Oh, Alphonso Davies. They would love Alphonso Davies. He's linked to Real Madrid. Oh, God. That is correct. Once again, Alphonso Davies is linked to a move with Real Madrid for possibly a seismic ton of money, but we don't actually know how much the value is. There's no release clause, there's no anything like that. But it's possible that Alphonso Davies could be joining Real Madrid in the summer. It's very possible. Do I think it's going to happen? Yes. Will it happen? We don't know. Real Madrid have all of the resources you can get. And now that they have the best attacking midfielder. They have the best strikers. They have the best wingers in the world. Now they could possibly have arguably the best left back in the world. So he's definitely the best left back in North America. He's definitely currently the best left back in the Western Hemisphere, or one of. Why not add him to Europe and play for the best team currently? I would say the best team in Europe by a country mile. That would just make them a god squad at this point. But Real Madrid are special. They've done everything they could. But we'll really see how good this team is come August, because we don't even know how that full team is going to be constructed yet. They might need another midfielder. They might need this. They might need that. Who knows? Other transfer news. Arsenal, Chelsea, and Manchester United are linked with the player from Eastern Europe who plays for RB Leipzig in Benjamin Šeško. I believe he plays for Slovenia. I think it is Slovenia. But Ben Šeško is a truly different... Yep, Slovenia. I got it right. Ben Šeško is a different breed. He came up... I've known about him for a long time, since his days at RB Salzburg in Austria. I've known him since about 2020-ish. He moved to Leipzig, staying in the Red Bull family of clubs, you can call it. But he's now been linked to move heavily with Arsenal. You talked about possible moves at Manchester United. Chelsea been linked with him for a while. I think there could be a possible other bunch of clubs that could join the fray for this. I think you could possibly see PSG swipe in and make a move. Barca, maybe. Who knows? But Benjamin Šeško is one of the most underrated strikers in the world. Why not put him on one of the best clubs in the world and have Arsenal have a real number 9? I'm not wearing the jersey because of just talking about Arsenal today, because we're not talking about Arsenal after this. But the intrigue that Ben Šeško currently has, and the interest and the possibilities are endless for the Slovenian striker, and we get to see him in the Euros, and I'll talk about Ben Šeško more next week. It is time for insanity. We're gonna start off with this in Asia. So let me reset my thing. So I know one time I got asked about this, and it's like, Asia? Why are you starting with Asia? Doesn't Africa start first in the alphabet? Well, Asia's federation is AFC, and Africa's is CAF. CAF. So we're starting in Asia. I don't give a crap. There's not a lot of groups to talk about, but I'll explain the format and how everything works. Once again, so we don't mess it up. So, second round is where we're at. We played matches in November. We played matches in March, which was when we last talked about this. We didn't really even get to talk about it in March. So we're going to recap some of the groups and what to watch out for in Asia. Group A was pretty nonchalant. We knew Qatar was going to murder everybody, and they did. They have a plus 14 goal difference in 4 games, including wins or an 8-1 win over Afghanistan, and they've pretty much have done the bare minimum in the other matches. They've dominated. They've been great. The surprise here, and I can't believe I'm saying this, Afghanistan? What? Listen, I didn't expect this either. I didn't expect this as much as you guys did. But Afghanistan, a team that had to go through the first round, has a chance to get out of this group. Now, how did they get here? Well, after their absolute shellacking at the hands of Qatar, they lost to Kuwait. But then Afghanistan drew India and then beat India in Guwahati. So, also courtesy of an 88th minute penalty by Muhammad. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that name. But Afghanistan has a chance. Unfortunately for them, the road is difficult. They open it up with Qatar playing in Saudi Arabia, and they also play a likely do or die game against Kuwait. Kuwait, who I thought was going to be the team to get out of this, has been really disappointing. They've done pretty much nothing other than beat Afghanistan. They only have 3 points, but they do have the best goal difference out of teams not named Qatar, which is funny. India can draw both. Actually, can India afford to draw both games? No, Kuwait would have to beat India and Afghanistan, have India lose both matches. Afghanistan can eliminate Kuwait if they beat Qatar somehow and Kuwait loses to India. So that will be all to play for. I think this should go to Kuwait still. I don't think Afghanistan does it because their goal difference is so bad. I'm going to say Kuwait comes from behind and does it. The matches are tomorrow. If you want to pay attention, this is going to be a blowout. I think Qatar wins like 6-0. Of essentially should have eliminated Afghanistan. Because if India beats Kuwait and Afghanistan loses, Afghanistan's pretty much done. Because look at this goal difference. India is not losing by that much to Qatar. They are better than, unless it's like corruption or something. But at this point, who knows? But yeah, Qatar is through. They are going to the Asian Cup. And it will be really cool to see Kuwait, India, or Afghanistan automatically qualify from the Asian Cup. Because if you finish in the top 2, you go to the Asian Cup, which is awesome. But that group is wild. I say it's going to be Kuwait, but my mind says Kuwait, but I wouldn't be surprised if India does it. Group B is essentially done. Japan has, like Qatar, has walked the group. They have not conceded a goal yet, unsurprisingly. They have dominated everyone. They've beaten Myanmar. They destroyed Syria. They semi-struggled with North Korea, which is odd. Japan was then awarded a free win after some nonsense with North Korea. North Korea essentially has to beat Syria. I don't think that happens. Syria needs a draw against North Korea to advance. Myanmar is essentially done. Negative 17 goal difference eliminates them pretty much by default. A Myanmar team that I believe went through the first round of qualifying as well should be eliminated on the first day of this round. They play tomorrow. I would on the day of this recording. I think Japan's going to eliminate Myanmar immediately, and I think Syria is going to beat North Korea the first time these two played. Syria's drawn Myanmar, but then beat Myanmar. So take that how you will. But Syria played a close one against North Korea in the first game. I think Syria win this. It's in Laos, so who the hell knows? But I don't think. North Korea actually has a chance. Because North Korea, after this, plays Myanmar, which is North Korea's only win of this entire thing. So they have a chance, but I don't like their odds. I think Syria do it. I think Syria will finish on 10 points. North Korea will finish on 6. Myanmar on 1. And Japan should be on 15 after their... No, Japan would be on... I'm good with numbers. Japan would win all 6 matches with probably the best goal difference we've ever seen. So I would say Japan and Syria still go through. This group's been wild, and I talked about it last time. We knew South Korea was going to pretty much walk the group. What we didn't expect was China to actually compete. China has come out here, if you remember back in November, I was very disappointed in Thailand because they lost to China. Thailand then rebounded with a win against Singapore in the Battle of the Southeast Asian countries. South Korea then beat China. Thailand drew South Korea. And then Singapore gave Thailand a huge favor by drawing China. Thailand then bottled it against South Korea, unsurprisingly, and China beat Singapore. setting us this match at Shenyang Olympic Sports Center Stadium with an Uzbekistan referee, because I just felt like that's funny to mention, between China and Thailand. A winner here, especially Thailand, uh, even if Thailand win by multiple goals, would probably set Thailand through. Because Thailand finished against Singapore. So if Thailand beat China and then beat Singapore, they're through. But it doesn't sound as easy as it seems. China, remember, beat Thailand in Bangkok already. So they know how to do it on the road, or so you would think. China at home at times in their first two matches at home briefly were shaky for them. Because China, remember, they scored the opener in this match against Singapore and then immediately conceded. So, I'm not going to say this is going to be a blowout. I think this is a draw. And then Thailand wins and South Korea wins. So I think Thailand would go through on goal difference. Because Thailand should beat Singapore by like 6 goals. In all honesty. It's going to be close. I think it's still South Korea, Thailand. But China will give him a run for the money. A China win seals the deal. Singapore is essentially out. They have a negative 10 goal difference. They're not making it through to the World Cup third round, unfortunately for them. But they can cause a lot of problems. And it would be really cool to see them cause such said problems. Because Singapore winning against Thailand in Bangkok would be the funniest thing ever. Because South Korea... This just imagine the scenes. Thailand beats China, and then Thailand blow it against Singapore. That would be insanity. And we don't even get to talk about it till the qualifying is done. Because the next time we would qualify this is talk about this qualifying, possibly is a week from Friday. So we would have a while till I get to talk about what happened. This has all the possibilities of being total insanity. I think it's South Korea, Thailand, but it's going to be very close, down to the end for sure. Next group, Group D, we have Kyrgyzstan. If you remember Kyrgyzstan, I didn't know they'd be this decent. Kyrgyzstan has played incredible. After their opening loss to Malaysia, Kyrgyzstan has rattled off 3 consecutive wins against Oman and Chinese Taipei. Kyrgyzstan plays Malaysia in a match it has to win to go through. Oman gets to play Chinese Taipei, so essentially a win from Kyrgyzstan and Oman would eliminate Malaysia before the last match day. Unfortunately, for Malaysia, it's a much harder road than it seems. You kinda bottled it, but they had chances, and they had chances to beat Oman. They just lost to Oman twice. And they played really bad in the second halves against Oman. I think that's going to be a problem that Malaysia comes up to against Kyrgyzstan. I think Kyrgyzstan win. I think Oman win. I think this group should be settled before the last day. I'm thinking it's still Oman and Kyrgyzstan, like my prediction in the beginning. But Malaysia, I think, is the team that could make some noise. They're the only team left that can make noise because Chinese Taipei is already out. I think Oman walks through Chinese Taipei. Wouldn't be surprised if Malaysia get a draw in Bishkek, and Malaysia finishes off against Chinese Taipei. So if two Malaysia wins puts them through. Because Oman and Kyrgyzstan, someone's going to have to win a match. It is possible, okay, for all 3 of them to end on 12 points. It is very possible. The only issue is how many goals is Malaysia going to beat Chinese Taipei on, if it gets to that point. I think it's possible, but I still think it's going to be Kyrgyzstan Oman. Malaysia, though, hell of an effort so far. I don't think they get it done. Group E is already done. We'll talk about them very quickly so we can move on. Iran and Uzbekistan are already through. Turkmenistan and Hong Kong didn't really throw much of a fight. They actually play each other in the worst game you might ever see in Ashgabat on June 11th. Iran and Uzbekistan are essentially playing for top of the group. Iran and Uzbekistan basically did it all by winning matches they actually had to win. They also drew each other, which is kind of cool. The one flaw I found was Uzbekistan did not like to score early in matches. Their first two match days, they did not score the opening goal. Uh, they did not concede against Hong Kong, so maybe that's not that much of a problem. But there you go. That's the only flaw I may have found with the Uzbeks. Iran's Iran. They're a god squad, so I would say they're fine, but we'll see in the future rounds. This is where it gets even more weird. We have Iraq, who's through already. Indonesia, Vietnam, and the Philippines. Now, the Philippines have not been good. They've been bad. But know who else has been bad? Vietnam. They can't score, and they've also been plagued with injuries. That is why they are where they are. They lost to Indonesia, which is really disappointing. They bottled it off a 97th minute winner against the Iraqis in Hanoi. They've had a really bad luck against Indonesia again, and essentially need to beat the Philippines and Iraq to have a chance. I think this is going to go to Indonesia and Iraq. I don't see Indonesia losing to the Philippines, so I'm going to still say it's Iraq and Indonesia. I think this should be fairly simple. I think Vietnam does beat the Philippines, but I don't see them beating the Iraqis in Basra. Don't be surprised if Vietnam does do it, but I just don't see it. So I have Indonesia going through with Iraq pretty simple because the Iraqis have been great, and Indonesia's actually been really solid. This could have been over already, but they drew the Philippines. So yeah, and they were playing really bad against the Philippines in Manila. So that is the only reason this group still is not done yet, was this draw in Manila. So yeah, possible bottle job on the cards for Indonesia. I don't see it, but that's how Group F is. Iraq's through, and I do think it's got to be Indonesia. Has to be them. Our next group, Group G. This group is my favorite. We have Saudi Arabia and two teams that were great in the Asian Cup, Jordan and Tajikistan. Pakistan got walked. We zoom in on that goal difference. Wish I had an editor. That's the goal difference, chat. A negative 19 in 4 games. Kind of what you expect when you lose 6-1 and 7-0 against Jordan and Tajikistan. And speaking of the two, they play each other off rip, so we can already know who we could be going through in the World Cup qualifying after one match. Here is what are the possibilities. If Jordan wins, it's over. If Tajikistan wins, it is all to play for, because Tajikistan probably goes through because they had to play Pakistan again. And if you remember how the last time these two played in Islamabad, hopefully I said that right, they beat Pakistan 6-1. So yeah, it's probably over if Tajikistan wins. If Jordan wins, it's over. I think this is going to end in a draw. If you look at the first time these two played, it was a draw, but it was settled extremely late in Dushanbe. Isn't that where the first game was? That's where this game is. I'm just mixing it up. My mistake, ladies and gentlemen. I think this is a draw again. I think this game is going to be absolutely insane, or nothing could happen. It's very possible for both of those things to happen. I like Tajikistan, though. That one of the two heroes from the Asian Cup, one of the unpredictable minnows, will be going through, and one of them, unfortunately, will be getting ousted in the second round of Asia World Cup qualifying. But it's a great run for one of these teams nonetheless, because they've actually thrown up good fights against some of the better teams in this thing. I mean, Tajikistan went out and drew Saudi Arabia. That's a very respectable result. And only lost 1-0 to the Saudis as well. Saudi Arabia gets to finish it off against Jordan. So Jordan has to win against Tajikistan to have any form of a chance. Group H, I think we settled very quickly, so we'll talk about them quick. As Seth mentioned, very quickly. We have the UAE, Bahrain, Yemen, and Nepal. Nepal is already out. Bahrain and Yemen face each other in a match that you have to expect Bahrain to win. Bahrain beat Nepal. Have gone on beating Nepal on an 8-0 aggregate score, and they've also beaten Nepal. They've already beaten Yemen 2-0. So I wouldn't expect the greatest game ever. I think this game's gonna be kind of bad, but I think Bahrain should be through. I think they beat Yemen and settle this very easily. Nepal's already out. The UAE is already through. The only scare would be if Yemen beat Bahrain in Rifa. Bahrain finished off against the UAE, so Nepal is not. Sorry, Yemen is not out of this. I keep switching Nepal and Yemen for some reason. The only issue is that Yemen's goal difference is so bad that I think they don't really have a shot anyway. But I think this should be the UAE and Bahrain. They deserve it. They've been the best two teams. Finally, in Group I, a group that's been really disappointing for Lebanon. I thought they had a much better chance, but Palestine has been great. They've looked awesome. A Palestine team that barely lost to Australia. They already drew Lebanon. Beat Bangladesh twice, including this late 95th minute winner that actually really did save them back in March, sets us up with a Palestine-Lebanon match in Qatar. The battle of the pretty much two Middle Eastern countries. I believe they're... Would you consider that Middle East? I don't even know. If I made that mistake, my apologies. But in that similar region, I'm not the greatest with that type of geography. But Palestine and Lebanon, Bangladesh, we knew was going to get walked. We've only scored one goal in the entire thing, and that was against Lebanon. Lebanon have really shot themselves in the foot. They've completely bottled this. They've drawn Bangladesh and Palestine. Listen, they don't deserve it. This should be going to Australia and Palestine. They really do deserve it. If they go through to a giant group, another round of group stage play. The third round, if you don't know the third round, there are three groups of 6 teams. There's no way these are all in the same group. Hold on, chat. The teams that have qualified for the third round are Australia, Iraq, Qatar, Uzbekistan, Iran, and all of them. I don't know why this is saying Qatar, Australia, whatever. There might be a glitch. We'll find out the draw for the third round. We don't know exactly when the draw is. That next round of play will be in September, so we get to talk about it right away. Over to the best continent for soccer if you like upsets. Africa. Welcome to Africa. So here's how it works. If you win your group, you're through to the World Cup. If you finish in second, you go to a playoff. Pretty self-explanatory. And this group has gone off to a semi-predictable start. We have Egypt, Burkina Faso, Guinea-Bissau, Sierra Leone, Ethiopia, and Djibouti. Burkina Faso actually is a pot 1 team for the AFCON qualifiers, so they got really screwed with this draw. If you don't remember, let's go through quickly what happened in November. I believe I predicted Burkina Faso to be a playoff team for this. Ethiopia, Sierra Leone played a 0-0. Egypt walked through Djibouti and Sierra Leone. Burkina Faso struggled against Guinea-Bissau, which is odd. Burkina Faso rebounded by beating Ethiopia 3-0, and Guinea-Bissau actually played a tight match in Cairo against Djibouti. So that's unfortunate for Djibouti, of course. These are the sets of matches today. Djibouti's actually playing Sierra Leone. I think at the time of recording, I actually don't even know. They play Sierra Leone. Egypt plays Burkina Faso in a match that if either of them win, they have to be feeling really good about themselves. The toughest window, I think, goes to Egypt. They play Guinea-Bissau and Burkina Faso. Two teams that you could argue might back themselves to get out of this. Although, back themselves as a playoff team, not to get out of this. Because Egypt's got to be the one that's expected to win this group. I think Egypt wins at least one. I have a feeling they might draw Burkina Faso. Because that Burkina Faso team's been really, really good. I know they struggled in that one match against Guinea-Bissau, but I think that might be a slip-up because it was the first match of the whole thing. So Burkina Faso, a team that's been known to be really good in some big moments, I think will muster out 4 points in the window. Same with Egypt. I do have Burkina Faso beating Sierra Leone. I have Guinea-Bissau mustering out 3 points. So my projected table at the end of this would be Burkina Faso on 8 points, Egypt on 10, Guinea-Bissau on 7. Sierra Leone, Ethiopia, and Djibouti, we all knew were getting annihilated to begin with. But don't sleep on that Burkina Faso team. They're so good. A team that you could argue in most of the other groups, they could back themselves to even get out of the group of this round and through to the World Cup automatically. In Group B, Senegal has predictably started on top of the group. The surprise team is not Sudan for me. We'll talk about why in a minute. Sudan opened it up by drawing Togo and then went out and beat the DR Congo courtesy of an own goal in the best stadium name I've ever seen. Martyrs of February Stadium. What the hell is that? I love this thing. And it's not even in the DR Congo or Sudan. It's in Libya. This tournament is awesome. I love this thing. Sudan has gotten 4 points. They're not my surprise. The surprise team for me is Togo. Togo has drawn. If you don't remember, you don't know where Togo is. We'll tell you where Togo is in a minute. Togo. Let me just research something real quick. Went out and drew Senegal 0-0. A team that you would not expect to do anything because you probably don't know where Togo even is, which, fair. We do have some matches actually playing right now. Sierra Leone, we just talked about them, is leading against Djibouti, which I know everyone can make a C+ pickup line minimum out of that name, but if you go all the way down, Togo has already dealt with Senegal before. Togo has drawn the Senegalese in the previous World Cup qualifying window, so Togo is not that terrible. And what's also surprising is that Togo is possibly on the cards for more upsets. They're actually playing today. They're playing South Sudan, a match in Lomé, which Togo has to win. I know that it would be really sad if they lose. That match actually is in progress at 0-0. So a match that Togo has to win to have any form of a chance. They can't draw all of their matches and expect to go through. I'm just saying that now. Other teams to watch out for in this window: Mauritania is playing Sudan. Sudan, liking their window, their schedule, they go away to Mauritania and they play in the Battle of the Sudans in South Sudan. This is the last World Cup qualifying window the only World Cup qualifying window of the year for Africa. So make some noise. These teams have to make noise if they want to do anything. Senegal has a decently difficult window. They open up with the DR Congo, a match they have to win. The DR Congo really kicking themselves after a struggle for them after only beating Mauritania and currently in third. I still like the Senegalese to go through, but Sudan need to get points as well. Sudan plays Mauritania, and then Sudan, of course, still plays South Sudan. You can argue that Sudan could be top of the group at the end of the week, at the start of next week. I don't think they will. I think it'll still be Senegal, but don't be surprised if they are. Yeah, that's basically essentially this group. DR Congo not off to a hot start, and they have to be. Don't be surprised if Togo is making noise as well. I like that Togo squad. Group C is dominated by Rwanda. Hold on. We all knew going into this that this group was Nigeria's to lose. Unfortunately for Nigeria, they went out and played their opening match, and they've gone out, and drawn Lesotho. Hold on, stop sharing the screen. Do people know actually where Lesotho is? Let's pull up a map here. Hold on, move this out the way. We're going to open a map. I actually just loaded it. So we can tell you where this country is, chat. This is Lesotho. Right here. It's essentially in the middle of the eastern part of South Africa, but it's essentially a separate territory. Kind of like Eswatini. It's essentially Eswatini, but bigger. That place right there drew Nigeria in Nigeria. This stuff is insanity. And we go back to our screen with the World Cup. The other surprise, of course, has been Zimbabwe, which I think you guys can find on a map. Rwanda also has been great. They drew Zimbabwe and actually went out and won a match. They beat the South African national team, a very respectable result for Rwanda. Lesotho then drew Benin. Benin has also been really bad. A Benin team that will be in pot 2 of Africa's AFCON qualifying starting soon, hopefully soon. South Africa has won a match. They beat Benin. Setting up this group, Rwanda, the big surprise here, they've gotten 4 points. Lesotho not losing every game is impressive enough. They've already done better than I thought they would. Same with Zimbabwe. Nigeria has to prove something. And it doesn't get easy for them off the rip. They play South Africa, a match that they kind of have to win because Rwanda is playing Benin and Lesotho. So if Rwanda very well can get 4 wins from 4, which would be absolutely ridiculous because no one even knew, not even me, and I pay attention to this stuff, thought that Rwanda had a chance. So, Rwanda, proving everyone wrong essentially, has gone on and won their first 2 games, and they have a very easy schedule upcoming. They get Lesotho and Benin. The surprise team that can make some noise this window is Benin. They play the aforementioned Rwanda team. That match is actually in the Ivory Coast, and they also play in the Ivory Coast against Nigeria. Benin has been on the cards to get some big results against some certain countries in big moments. You talk about results against the DR Congo in World Cup qualifying in the last go around. A Benin team that almost made it to the final stages, albeit in the easiest group they could possibly get. And the only reason they didn't go to that last round is because they couldn't beat Tanzania. So, listen, they can make noise. I just don't really see it for them. But they would be the big shock for me. Zimbabwe, I don't see it for them either. I do see Lesotho in Zimbabwe being actually a very fun match. I do also see it as a 0-0. That game's in South Africa, so that game could be very wild. But this group has been insane. And also, Lesotho? Really? Like, come on. This is supposed to be one of the best teams in Africa? And they couldn't beat Lesotho or Zimbabwe. Okay. Group D has gone pretty much to plan. Cameroon has gone on and did their typical disappointment and drew Libya. They also beat Mauritius, so there you go. Cape Verde drew Angola, and then went out and beat Eswatini, which we just mentioned is also in like that separate territory-ish area of South Africa. Libya drew Cameroon and beat Eswatini as well. Angola and Mauritius also drew each other in that bout of match over here. To set up this table, the surprise here is obviously Libya. Sorry, I just need more water. The surprise is Libya. It's give me Libya until it's not. No one expected this team to do anything, and they also have a very easy start. They play at the greatest stadium name ever against Mauritius, a match that Libya could possibly win, and then they play against Cape Verde. Cape Verde is going to beat Libya. So, for Libya's sake, although I know they drew Cameroon already, they're not doing it again. Libya has to beat Mauritius to stay in the running because Cameroon is going to beat Angola, but the big match is against Cape Verde. I don't see this group going as the full-blown blowout yet because Cameroon has to get through the difficult matches they've had. They've gone out and beat up Mauritius. They're going to go out and beat up Angola here. And then they get to later on play Eswatini, Libya again at home. Eswatini again. That's where you're going to see Cameroon come out and dominate this group. It's not going to be yet because they've had a very difficult start. This is going to be a match that determines how good both of these teams actually are. Are they actually legit? Especially that Cape Verde team. Cape Verde, who's been competitive in the last couple of AFCONs, they almost made it to the last World Cup final round of qualifying. Unfortunately for them, they couldn't beat Nigeria, which is actually very a testament to Nigeria because they've struggled in both early stages of World Cup qualifying. But back to the topic at hand. The surprise, of course, is Libya. Angola has drawn 2 matches, which how? And I get they drew Cape Verde. How the hell do you draw Mauritius? That Mauritius team is really bad. No offense to Mauritius, they're not a national team you would expect to be any good. Angola made it decently far in the AFCON tournament. This makes no sense. Africa's amazing. I love this. I love everything about this. This is Cameroon and Cape Verde's group to lose still. In Group E, if you forgot from last time, Eritrea is disqualified. And this group's been very random. Morocco's only played 1 match. Do not be alarmed that they've only have 3 points. They've only played 1 match. And we get to see them twice in this upcoming window. Morocco gets to play Zambia, a match they kind of should win. And they also get to play the Congo. This is not the DR Congo, it's just the Congo. Don't ask me why. Zambia, they've been I believe they've made a World Cup before. They've beat the Congo. They also lost to Niger, interestingly enough. Morocco's only win coming up against my boys from Tanzania, who actually have a win as well. They actually beat the aforementioned Niger squad. We only get to see Tanzania once this window. We will see Tanzania against Zambia in Ndola. We'll also only see Niger once this window. They had the canceled match against Eritrea. They play the Congo, a match that will be very fun because it's in the DR Congo and a battle of 2 teams that actually you could argue are very equal to each other, you could say. Morocco and Zambia is the match of the group. It's the top 2 teams. I think Morocco should walk this group easily still. The surprise team that I could think could still make noise is going to be Tanzania. It's not Niger because I think Niger is going to fall off a cliff eventually. But Zambia is the second best team. I wouldn't be surprised if Tanzania's lack of offense comes back to haunt them eventually. But their defense, they're kind of like, who would I compare them? They're kind of like Everton in a way. It's not even necessarily good. They're one of those teams that don't get a lot of shots off, but they concede a lot of shots. But the other opponents don't score. I was thinking that's like Everton, but it's not. I'm drawing a blank on what team that would be, but that's just the way it is. I would say Tanzania is the sleeper, but I wouldn't bank on it. This is Morocco's group to lose. They should beat Zambia twice. I don't see Morocco losing a game. Maybe to Zambia, but I still think it should be Morocco's. I think they'll be on 9 points at the top of the group, but the midfield I think could be very interesting. Group F has been Murderer's Row, essentially, is what we'll call it. It's and also a disappointment for my small minnow river nation of the Gambia, who I really hyped up in the last video, and it's not gone very well for them. They've went out and were not good against Burundi, and also lost to the Ivory Coast. They opened it up against the Seychelles, who've allowed 14 goals in 2 matches, including a 9-0 loss to the Ivory Coast. The battle of the 2 worst nations in this entire group should be fun, and I think the Gambia will actually win a match. This could be the turning point for the Gambia. They play Gabon next, a Gabon team, the formerly team known as the Fighting Aubameyang's, because it used to be Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, and that was it. I've actually gone off to a decent start. They've beat Kenya, and they beat Burundi, which, fair enough. Ivory Coast is going to walk this group still. They should be going through to the World Cup for the first time, I believe, since... was it 20... Hold on. I don't remember if it was 2010 or not for them, but... Interesting. They haven't been to the World Cup in a while. They're a great nation, too good of a team to not be in the World Cup. They play Gabon, a match that Ivory Coast should win, I think, over the Gabon. They're a much better team than Gabon. Then they play Kenya, another match that I think they should win. A match that's going to be in Malawi, which I don't think people know where Malawi is either, but do what you will with that. This should be Ivory Coast's group to win 100%. Group F, I know this video is taking way too long already. We're already 49 minutes in, and we still have another whole thing to talk about, which won't be as long. Group G, my mistake, we're on Group G, has been dominated by Algeria and no one else. We open it up with Botswana, unfortunately losing to Mozambique. Botswana then responding by beating Guinea. Sure. Algeria beating Somalia, and then Algeria beating Mozambique. Guinea beating Uganda. Guinea, of course, then losing. And then Uganda just beating Somalia. So, fair enough. The interesting team in this group will be Botswana. I think it's very possible. A team that I really counted out off the jump because I thought this would be Algeria and Guinea has a chance. They have a very easy window upcoming. They play Uganda and they play Somalia. Albeit they're both road matches, but I still think Botswana has an outside chance of doing this even later on in the tournament. Mozambique is not bad. Neither is Guinea and of course Algeria. But Botswana's really overperformed already, and it's only been 2 matches. So they have a very easy path this window. They're in second. I like their chances of I think it's very possible they could have 9 points total at the end of this window, and that's where the fall off could be for them. But Botswana, not off to a bad start. Guinea is concerning. They beat Uganda and then lost to a Botswana team that's not as good as Guinea in Francistown, so do what you will with that. Guinea plays Algeria, and then they play Mozambique, which, okay. Guinea is who are going to be fighting for that playoff spot. It's a little bit worrying for them. Same with Uganda and Mozambique. And Somalia, we knew they were going to get walked from the start. Group H is where things get fun. You see, last time we talked about this group, we were hyping up Equatorial Guinea. And you're probably asking yourself, Robbie, why is Equatorial Guinea in last? Didn't they have 6 points off the rip? Well, they did. But it turns out they were fielding an eligible player, Emilio Insue, who I thought was from a different nation, and I told my friends he was from a different nation, but I was wrong. He is an Equato-Guinean professional footballer, or so you'd think. He was born in Mallorca, Spain, but he was born to an Equato-Guinean father and a Spanish mother and initially played for Spain. In 2013, he made his senior international debut for Equatorial Guinea, despite not having Equatorial Guinean nationality nor permission to switch allegiances. Essentially, he played illegally. And Equatorial Guinea went from in the driver's seat to, oh crap, we actually have to win a ton of matches now. Because they beat Namibia and Liberia. Now we're in a lot of trouble because they open it up against Tunisia. And Malawi's not bad either. This is a very interesting situation for Equatorial Guinea, especially going to have to play in Tunis, which is already difficult in itself. It is a worrying moment for Equatorial Guinea. A team that you'd really back to go through to the World Cup has gone from, we're in the driver's seat to, oh crap, we might have to win out actually, and have a good goal difference in the process to have a chance. Because there's only, how many wins would they have to have? You play 8 matches or whatever it is? No, because they play 10 matches. You need to get 16 points from your next 8, or no, 24 points in the next 8 to really have a good shot at it. You really can't screw up because they can't screw up against Liberia, Malawi, Sao Tome and Principe. Namibia is not terrible. Tunisia is really good. But Namibia has also gone from, oh crap, we're in trouble, to, wow, we actually have a chance. Because Namibia plays Liberia and then plays Tunisia. So, listen, they're not in the worst spot either. Liberia could be in a really good position. They play Sao Tome and Principe, and then Namibia, if Liberia win both of those matches, they're going to be feeling really good about themselves. But Equatorial Guinea, in a really tough spot down. I'm not that confident in them anymore, really at all. In Group I completely forgot about this. Comoros, which, let's open up a map again. Let us show you where Comoros is. Comoros, a team that has beaten Ghana in the AFCON before, is top of their own group, top of their group. This is where Comoros is. It's those tiny islands to the north of Madagascar. This is Mauritius and all of them. You can zoom in a little bit. These islands up here is Comoros. That is where our protagonists lie. And these certain protagonists have only gone on to get brilliant results. Comoros has opened it up by beating the Central African Republic and then went on and beat Ghana, which is insanity. They played on Friday against Madagascar, and then they also play against Chad. Chad is not good. Chad will get destroyed. So in all honesty here, if you really think about it, and you piece it all together, it's very possible that Comoros could have 4 wins from 4? That's insanity. Not only that, but they could be in a position to steal a World Cup spot through 4 matches from Mali or Ghana. 2 teams that really back themselves. The Ghanaians have been bad. They barely beat Madagascar. And they, of course, lost to Comoros. They play Mali tomorrow, which is going to be a fun match as well. And they also get to play the Central African Republic, who are not a pushover. The Central African Republic, despite losing to Comoros, went out and drew Mali, which is very, very respectable, by the way. More respectable than you would imagine. So, really, other than Chad, maybe Madagascar has gotten some competitive wins. There's not really a pushover out of the other 4. So it's a very interesting situation. Ghana has an extremely tough window. Mali has the toughest window in this group is Ghana. They're really kicking themselves so far. They play Mali away, and then they get to play the Central African Republic. Following that, Ghana has a very easy path in March. They get to play Madagascar and Chad. So the Giga Chads, hopefully, what was it, Giga Chad? I don't know what the right term is. Hopefully I didn't say that wrong. Sorry if I offended anyone there. But Chad, the country, maybe it can make some noise, who knows? That, I believe, is all. This is the ranking of the runner-ups. It would be Namibia, Gabon, and Burkina Faso, and Mali going into the playoff currently. One other set of World Cup qualifying to end this 100th episode, and something I just love to talk about. Welcome to Concacaf. If you remember Concacaf, that is the North America, Central America, and the Caribbean. In case you did not know that. We started this week, and I'm very excited. It starts today. Tonight. Later this afternoon. I don't really even know. Well, let's begin. So we have 6 groups to talk about. All of these incredible groups. A lot of sleepers, a lot of everything. You get a lot of everything here. Group A is Honduras. We talked about them briefly before. It is Honduras, Antigua and Barbuda, Cuba, Bermuda, and the Cayman Islands. I'll just say it up straight out here. Honduras should not lose a game in this. They should not lose. They open it up tomorrow with Cuba, and they also get to play. I forgot there's 3 matches this week. Is it 3 matches? I'm not good with numbers. 1, 2. Oh, right, because someone skips a match day. Right. My mistake. There's a couple of dates of matches. Honduras gets to play Bermuda and Cuba. I would not be surprised if Honduras wins every match. You play every team once, so this could be very dicey, very fast. The Cayman Islands, I don't know. Right, they skipped there's like a couple of dates to skip because it's 5 teams. Sorry for explaining it very poorly. The Cayman Islands are going to get walked in this group. The surprise team that could make some noise is probably Antigua and Barbuda. This should be Honduras and Cuba if you really think about it, but honestly, wouldn't be surprised if Antigua and Barbuda do it, but it should be Honduras and Cuba. They're the highest ranked teams in this group. They should be able to make noise very easily. Group B is where things can get kind of weird. Costa Rica is the team to beat. They should also not lose a match. They open it up with St. Kitts and Nevis. That should end like 7-0. And then they get to play Grenada, which should be actually very interesting. The Bahamas are here. They get to play St. Kitts and Trinidad. Trinidad are the team that should finish in second, but don't be surprised if St. Kitts actually makes some noise. The only way St. Kitts does anything is if they somehow find a way to beat Trinidad, or Trinidad slips up. Those two face off against each other in 2025, so we won't really know about that matchup till later. But these matches start today. They finish at the start of pretty much the start of next week. We'll be able to talk about it next week. Hopefully probably talking about the end of the match days. No, we're talking about this on Friday. What the hell am I saying? We'll have all of the start of this group would have talked about it next Friday. So I know I'm like rushing some of my sentences here now, but St. Kitts, I think, have an outside shot, but it should be Costa Rica and Trinidad. Group C is where our sleeper teams come into play. My sleeper, of course, for the entire qualifying is Curacao. Curacao, a country that you wouldn't really expect. I've been very high on for multiple years. It's because they can have some Dutch players. If you're born in Curacao and have Dutch nationality. I think that's what it is. Curacao also has the easiest start possible. They play Barbados and Aruba. The only tough team in this group should be Haiti, but really it should be a walk in the park for Curacao and Haiti. Curacao gets to go to Willemstad and then Orionsstad in the battle of the only good 2 teams in the ABC Islands. If you don't know what the ABC Islands are, it's essentially Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao. And we get to see the battle of 2 of them right here because Bonaire can't play in this. I don't even remember. I think they have Dutch territory? I have no freaking idea. But Curacao is here. Unfortunately, we don't get to see Greenland. I know we talked about Greenland in the last video, but it might be like multiple World Cup qualifying cycles before we actually see them. But we'll see. We'll see. Back to this group, though. The surprise could be Barbados, but they're going to have to be Curacao. I just don't see that happening in Willemstad. I kind of see them beating Haiti, but I just don't know. It's going to be down really to Haiti and Barbados. I think it should be Curacao. I'd say it's going to be Curacao and Haiti. They're the 2 best teams here. Group D is where more things can get weird. We have the smallest country in this entire thing in Montserrat, which is about 5,000 people. They're in a group with Panama, Nicaragua, and Guyana and Belize. Nicaragua opens it up against Montserrat, which should be a blowout for, of course, Montserrat. I'm just kidding. It's not Montserrat. Nicaragua should win that game. This is Panama and Nicaragua's to lose. This is where the groups get really boring. Guyana can maybe make a chance. I think they've made a recent Gold Cup, but they should get walked. Montserrat, I have no faith in. Same with Belize. I'll just put it short and simple. This should be Panama, Nicaragua. There should not be a lot of competition. Panama, Nicaragua, open it up. Nicaragua actually opens it up tonight. They're playing Montserrat, and Nicaragua plays Belize. So Nicaragua should essentially have 6 points. Panama is playing Guyana, and then Panama plays Montserrat next. Guyana and Belize play each other at the end of the first window. Group E this is where the pain starts to happen for me. Jamaica, Guatemala, the Dominican Republic, Dominica, and the British Virgin Islands. So the British Virgin Islands got here by winning the Virgin Derby against the U.S. Virgin Islands. Dominica got here because of their ranking, and same with the other 3 at the top. The surprise here is the Dominican Republic, a national team that has they're like under 23s or under 21s. I don't even know what it is anymore. Going to the Olympic Games. So they could be the ones to really make some noise, and they're going to have to do it quickly. They open it up against Jamaica, a national team that's not been great, but Jamaica has a lot of quality. You talk about guys like Leon Bailey, Damari Gray. There's a lot of other players. Amari Bell. There's a lot of players I can name from this. They're going to be playing the DR, and then they play Dominica. So it should be 6 points Jamaica. Guatemala has the easiest starting path as well. The DR should have 3 points at the end of this first window, at minimum. They get to play in San Cristobal against the British Virgin Islands, which should be a walk in the park for them. And then they have to go into next year having to play Guatemala and Dominica. So it's possible at the end of this whole thing that the Dominican could cause the super upset. They're going to have to do it early. And I think the only team they'd really have a chance to do it against is this match down here against the Guatemalan national team. It's not going to be the easiest path for the Dominican. I think they really have a shot, but they can make noise early. I think they can maybe get a draw against Jamaica. This should be Jamaica and Guatemala, but the Dominican Republic are the sleeper. I would not be surprised if they get 6 points, maybe even 6 points in this group at this end of the first window, because they're that much of a sleeper because of how much their national setup has been improving. They've really improved recently. Finally, in Group F, the last group we're talking about, Anguilla got here by winning a qualifier. St. Vincent and the Grenadines is not good. Puerto Rico is building, but this should be El Salvador and Suriname. El Salvador opens it up by probably blowing out Puerto Rico. Suriname plays St. Vincent and the Grenadines, which you can't even see it because of how long their name is. I don't know why it's even that long. Suriname, it's to play Anguilla, so it should be 6 points Suriname. Puerto Rico actually might have a chance to be at 3 points at the end of this window. They have to be Anguilla to have a chance. El Salvador gets to play St. Vincent and the Grenadines on the 9th. I think it should be lining up pretty much the way it starts, but Puerto Rico maybe is the sleeper, but there's no really other good team other than El Salvador and Suriname. The chaos of international ball is here. We'll be talking about it for the next 2 months. It's been a lot of fun. The journey, though, of this podcast is just getting started. 100 episodes down, no sign of stopping from me. But, unfortunately, this is where today's episode ends, as that is the end of this episode of the Robbie Basel Show. Thank you guys so much for being on this early journey with me so far, and hopefully you guys continue to be on the journey with me for maybe years to come. 100 episodes down, like I said, no sign of stopping. But what I need you guys to do is hit the like button down below and subscribe, and let me know other topics you guys may want me to talk about on this show. I'm open to a lot. The summer, a lot can happen, but I need you guys to tell me in the comments what else you want me to talk about, or hit me up in the DMs. Listen, I'm open to that too. My Instagram handle's down below. I'll be open to that as well. I'm open to all the suggestions, but I just need you guys to let me know down in the comments or in the DMs what you guys want to see on this show. But for now, once again, I'm Robbie Basel saying so long for now. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye, everyone.